obviously. Their defense is playing like they're running the ball like similarly to Atlanta amount of times the last like 2 weeks, and they're giving their defense. Saleh is actually be coming through on his defensive prowess.
Yeah, like
it's crazy.
It's funny. They actually have they've got new players this offseason. And then like their DBs are actually good. Last year they were the worst DBs. And now Sauce Gardner might be defensive rookie of the year. Quinnen Williams has been awesome in the like up front. So also Zach Wilson sucks. What did he throw for, like 120 yards last week? The only reason they won by so much is because Aaron Rodgers had 2 fumbles. Like
I thought it was less than that. I thought it was like 107 or something crazy.
I'm on
or something. Checking. I thought it was 110.
Some stupid low number.
Yeah.
Man, I hope Elijah Moore gets traded. That was a big miss.
All right. Speaking of trades, I already hit record, so we're going. Started at this Jets topic. You're welcome. Didn't even need an intro. Anyways.
Hey, Connor, can you give us an intro, please?
Don't need an intro. All the intro you need to know is CMC is a 49er. Talked about it a little already. Connor.
Everybody is going to be on that train. Every fantasy podcast. Ours is going to be the best because we're giving you... By the way, we are winning. We are winning.
Winners.
We are winners. I just want you to know... What was our percentage wins across the board last week, Phil?
I was 50. 1 second. You
80.
were 80. Ken was 75. Fantastic week, actually.
So nobody lost money last week. Period. Nobody lost money last week. It's great. It's great. Anyways. Do we actually want to do an intro?
No, we're good. I'm already recording. We're live, baby.
You're doing a great intro so far.
Christian McCaffrey, 49er.
Christian McCaffrey. As always, just in case you're wondering, I'm Connor Lucas, here with Dr. Kenneth Call and Nerdhead Phillip Call. Actuary Phil. That's his new nickname, Actuary Phil.
You know what's hilarious? My new job...
Actuary Phil. That's his name.
My new job title is Associate Director, which I think is hilarious at my new company. Doesn't that sound... I'm an Associate Director of Reinsurance Operations. Doesn't that just sound classy?
And
I'm an associate director as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Phil, start us off, Mr. Associate Director. Give us the hottest of hot takes on the Christian McCaffrey trade. If you have not figured out, Christian McCaffrey is no longer a Panther. If you're listening, you've also lived under a rock for the last 48 hours, and now he is a San Francisco 49er following the road of his papa, Ed McCaffrey, who played for Mike Shanahan, which is Kyle's daddy. So we got son on son. It's great. Anyways, Phil, enlighten us.
Anyways, so number 1. I think this move makes San Francisco the second best team in the NFC. However, I am vehemently holding that it does not change the 49ers in a schematic or add a new threat to their offense. All right, Deebo Samuel and Christian McCaffrey. Connor, you harped on it at the beginning of the year. You said Deebo Samuel is not an elite receiver. He's just a very talented football player. He does a lot of things similar to Christian McCaffrey. He runs the ball well. He gets the ball in space and makes things happen with it. They both operate 10 yards and in. Same with Brandon Ayuk. Same with George Kittle. They don't have a vertical threat still. And I guess they're playing to Jimmy Garoppolo's strength, which is the quick hitting pass games and make something happen. So I am very excited. In general, Christian McCaffrey is going to have good numbers, but I am just annoyed that teams always do this. They don't add things to their repertoire when they're adding players. They just get more of the same. So McCaffrey's going to be great for fantasy. If you have him, he's back up to the top number 1 fantasy player again. Unless he gets hurt, like every running back. I'm sure Ken will cover that in San Francisco. I think it was a win now move too. If you look at what they gave up the value of about a first round pick and a little bit more by giving up 4 draft picks. You can tell they don't have a pick in like the first 4 rounds next year. So I am against it in terms of a long-term move. I love that it's a win-now move. I think more teams should make moves like this when, their conference doesn't look good. But at the same time, I don't think it adds a new dimension to the 49ers offense. It just gives them more talent to do the same things. In a perfect world, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, they're the exact same production or exact same opportunities. You get 8 to 12 carries out of both, 5 to 7 targets out of both. That's 20 opportunities, and Kyle Shanahan should be able to scheme up some good stuff. My only fear is that they don't use them in that way. Well, pow.
Good start. Ken,
wow.
give us the
Really
injury. Give us the injury.
So, my concern, whatever it is with Kyle Shanahan's system, he loves running backs running hard, usually, typically between the tackles. Now, Christian McCaffrey can do anything. He is that home run hitter all the time. He could, great out of the backfield. I love it. Phil and I were talking about how much we love the 49ers receiving weapons before they had the best receiving back in the game. I really love the whole do or die for Jimmy G. If you can't do it with this set of weapons, you can't do it, period. But I am concerned, going back, okay, Carlos Hyde, all the way back there. Yeah, guys. Tevin Coleman, Raheem Mostert, Eli Mitchell, Tevin Coleman again eventually here. But Jeff Wilson too. All these guys, they get so many of these like soft tissue injuries, high ankle injuries. This whole team, they get the 49ers running backs, they just get lower extremity injuries. Christian McCaffrey, yes, he's had the injury bug. Nothing, long term. Everything that does typically heal well. So I'm not, worried about previous injuries affecting his play, but more so, if they maintain this, intense running style, is he going to get hurt again? It's always hard to say, but a bet on a running back to get injured, Christian McCaffrey, he's up there, definitely. So I am a little concerned with that. Now, I sent Phil 2 texts about this. One was really concerned about injuries. Number 2, I also think they're my favorite team in the NFC now. I think that I just won't trust Jalen Hurts. Maybe if Jalen Hurts had all these weapons, it'd be a different story. But, man, do I like this 49ers team now. There's no questions about defense except for their injuries, but they will be coming back. They should be full strength by the end of the year. Man, I really like what this team's got going forward.
All right, Connor. I gave a little bit of a schematic. Ken gave the injury. Now you tell me how this all fits together in a Kyle Shanahan-led offense and what you would do maybe.
So, all right. So if you think about what Kyle Shanahan has done with his weapons, ironically, he does not really run Deebo up the middle 15, 20 times a game. He will use a Jeff Wilson. He will use a Raheem Mostert. He will use somebody else, like an Elijah Mitchell, to take most of that brunt force. Yes, every once in a while, Deebo last year when Elijah Mitchell got hurt, they started throwing him up the middle a little bit more, and he got nicked up. But if you watch games that are, where he was healthy, and then Elijah Mitchell was healthy, and then Jeff Wilson was healthy, or Juszczyk, he would run where you would see 2x2, and you'd see him come across the formation, be like a read, an outside zone play, and Deebo would get outside, or line him up under center and then pitch him outside, get him outside of the tackles, and then guess what? Here comes in Elijah Mitchell or Jeff Wilson or whatever. He'll put them in to run up the middle and take tackles. I think truly you will see not interchangeable between Deebo and CMC, but I will say that you'll see 60% of what Deebo does in the backfield. He'll do that probably 60-ish%, and then you'll see 40% of him moving and doing what Deebo does, and the vice versa. So Deebo will play outside a little bit more, catch screens, go across the middle, but whereas when CMC was in Panthers, he would just do all of that. He would run up the middle, he'd go outside, run up across, he'd do underneath routes, screens, whatever. I think you'll see Debo do 60% more wide receiver stuff, but he'll still get sprinkled in. And then I think they will quite literally move them back and forth. I think you'll see Debo come into the backfield with McCaffrey. And then I think they'll potentially motion the other one out. I'm telling you, that right there will create mismatches. Because if you start CMC in the backfield, and then you move him to the slot, the only way that you can say, hey, we're going to play man-to-man across the board, and whoever he goes with, hey, we're going to have a nickel back in, just covering McCaffrey the whole time. Well, guess what? Both of these dudes can also get at you downhill. Don't run them up the tackles, but they can get at you downhill. I'm just saying, you put Debo in space or Debo outside the tackles, he will truck a nickel back. McCaffrey will run around your nickel back. So if you're trying to play sort of a man-to-man and you're saying, hey, forget it. I'm manning up on these guys wherever they go. Debo goes somewhere, XYZ goes with him. Debo goes to the backfield, McCaffrey, he's going with McCaffrey then. Well, if that's the case, they're just going to run the other one up the middle. And let's say you zone it. I'm telling you, Shanahan is going to scheme the crap out of that. He's going to get him on a linebacker immediately, call an audible, and say, whatever he has on him, we're just giving it to him right now. And so you're looking at, this is going to be a nightmare matchup for all linebackers across the board, because Debo lines up in the slot, and then CMC lines up in the backfield. They're going to try and get a matchup on a linebacker. Well, if you don't, they're just going to run outside zone and give it to McCaffrey. Or if Dummy Head decides he wants to run him up the middle, he's going to run him up the middle. And then you got 4 in the box, 5 in the box, rather than have, 6 or 7 in the box. So, yes, Ken, I'm deathly afraid that he's going to be hurt by the end of the season. But I think Shanahan is going to have to do... I'm almost betting that he schemes better than he has in the past. This is a player that forces him to scheme a little bit differently. I don't think he can just keep continuing to do the same thing. This is a unique... I don't know, you guys can correct me. I don't think Shanahan has ever had a running back as talented as McCaffrey. Ever. I think he does the best with what he's given. This is like an all-pro Hall of Famer type guy. So, I don't know.
All right. Before Ken gets in, I just want to get this out. How do you guys feel about that? It's like, all right, Shanahan has turned undrafted free agents into Pro Bowl caliber, Pro Bowl producing level running backs. Why does he need Christian McCaffrey then? That was a question that I heard previously.
Oh. Ken, go ahead.
I like it. Definitely a good question. You hear all the time, running back's replaceable. You can get the next one up. You have a good scheme. You have a good offense. Running back, they're all talented. Not anyone can do good, but it's the most replaceable position on the field, except for when you have a game changer. CMC is
someone
is
elite,
just that,
someone like a T. Higgins on the field.
Is very similar to what Phil's talking about. But there's the difference is he's not a good running back. He is elite. Not a question about it.
So
I'll say that you will see a little bit more on the uptick on like if you look at McCaffrey's. If you look at McCaffrey's like stats, his splits between catches versus rushes, they're even. It's weird, right? So he ends up with 60 yards and 60 yards, and this is why I am a little bit concerned. Is because guess what? San Francisco is going to be winning more games than the Panthers are going to be winning. So you'll see his yardage come up from his rushing, which puts him, is more concerning, like we just talked about. But he may have, more games that he blows up and has, 150 yards rushing and 30 yards receiving. Why? Because they can stay committed to it longer. Yes, that's why it worries me, because they're a better team. They can commit to the run for longer and be more traditional, which is what Kyle wants to do anyways. I mean, he wants to probably have an even split, or pretty close, 60-40, maybe pass run. But if they're winning games, because, by the way, they have a top-tier defense. They're banged up right now, so caveat. But when they're healthy, they have a top-tier defense. So you got to remember that, too. They're not going to just be giving him, abandoning the run in the second quarter and then say, hey, McCaffrey, can you bail us out? They're not going to be doing that.
All right, last question before we move on. Last time we saw someone play an elite fantasy level, this is purely fantasy, was Devonta Freeman on the Super Bowl Falcons with Kyle Shanahan. Does McCaffrey do better on a per-game basis, or, are you happier with him as a fantasy running back than you were with Devonta Freeman then? For the record, Devonta Freeman, I think, ended the fantasy #1 value that year because of how good he was.
You guys are just pretending like Raheem Mostert wasn't a complete monster. Okay, I get it.
He was wonderful for 3.5 quarters.
No, actually, this might not be the most popular take, but I'm actually a little concerned in terms of fantasy value for him. He's obviously going to produce, but I think that Kyle Shanahan he's smart with it. I think he's going to get. I'm really hoping he gets more 15 touches a game, keeps him healthy, and then in the playoffs, gives him the ball 30 times. That's fine. But I'm from an injury aspect. I'm really hoping that they limit his touches a little bit during the season so that really, he's there when they need him. So that might mean less volume. He's not going to get the ball 30 times like he is in Carolina. Certainly better touches, but. That's my concern with it. Will he be good? Yeah. Will he be, top 5 running back? Sure. I just don't think he's going to be #1 far and away.
I think it's what I told you. I'm give him his whatever stats I said: 8 to 12 rushes, 5 to 7 targets. But in the playoffs, go ahead, run him 22 times, try to win those games.
I also disagree with you that Ayuk can't be the burner on this team. He's a 4-4-4-3 guy. That's why I say. I think you have the pieces to be. This is the problem. I think you have the pieces to be Tampa Bay last year, but the problem is your pace of play is slow. You don't have Tom. You could be. We're talking a top 5 tight end, a top 5 wide receiver, a top 5 running back in fantasy. Top 10 for 4 different people, but. You don't throw the ball 50 times a game.
Yeah.
So you're going to get light on all of those.
Yeah. All right, let's go on. Let's go on to other trade news. 2 players in the rumor mill. Cam Akers, Elijah Moore. Number 1, I think I was recording when you said you want Elijah Moore traded. He's an Ohio State guy, right? So you have a little bit of a close connection to him.
No, Elijah Moore is not. Elijah Moore is an
Garrett Wilson
guy.
And Chris Olave is who I was thinking of. Okay, give me a break. Don't know. They were Jets. Jets receivers. All right, anyways. I'm not here to know where people go to college. I'm here to know people's stats.
Chris Olave, by the way, number 10 rated fantasy receiver right now.
Freaking awesome.
Continue.
Yeah, someone was hyping up the Saints in the preseason. It was me. Got all my other picks wrong. Michael Thomas is garbage. Jameis is benched. But Chris Olave. All right, anyways. Elijah Moore. Cam Akers. Any opinions, any thoughts, any destinations that you want to see?
Ironically enough, for
take your boy.
No, for the Rams, I was actually really hoping that McCaffrey goes there. Man, talk about a team that would need that little bit of a plug and some talent there. But for Cam Akers, I don't care where he goes. Just get him out of the Rams, man.
It's a running back.
That's all I got there.
By the way, it was either the Rams or the 49ers. It was one or the other. They were dueling between which one would give more draft picks.
God.
So,
man, I wish it was the Rams, just for a fantasy aspect of it.
Get the Todd Gurley feel going back again. Remember that those days were wonderful for the Rams. All right, Elijah Moore. Haven't talked about him at all. Everyone needs wide receivers. There's a lot of good places.
This was on a per target or a per route run basis. He was PFF's highest graded wide receiver last year. It was top 5 at least. And I'm sitting here we talked him up, I think, in the offseason and said, if Zach Wilson is worth anything. Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore will be good this year. And guess what? Zach Wilson is not worth anything. So now we have a problem. Now we have the worst of the worst situations. I would like to see him, go to somewhere where he can crush it. Now, supposedly Green Bay is more interested in Claypool.
That's so stupid.
I would rather see Green Bay more interested in Elijah Moore, because I think you have sort of the guys that you already have a Claypool-esque wide receiver in Dalbs right now. You got one that's can't get healthy in Christian Watson. Fine, but Aaron Rodgers always wants to have a security blanket, which he just lost for the next 6 weeks. And Elijah Moore is 10 times better than Cobb is right now. Maybe not in his prime, but right now. I would like to see him in Green Bay. I think he could also do well. I almost want to see him in somewhere that they would change their offense, but I don't think Tennessee would be good. I've heard the Bears. That would not be good. Tennessee would not be good. I mean, you kind of want to see somebody like a Tennessee that needs a wide. I'm thinking of team need. I wish that the Tennessee would throw the ball, but I don't think it would be good for them. But they could use him. Open up for Treylon Burks. Don't let him go to Houston. Good God.
You don't love Dr. Davis Mills?
Yeah. Love the pharmacist. You love him.
Man, I'd love to see Chase Claypool in Green Bay, just because Aaron Rodgers will throw him the ball. He'll throw him the ball often. He doesn't need much separation. Aaron Rodgers throws receivers open. I just like the big body receiver, and I think that Aaron Rodgers wouldn't care too much. Dobbs dropped a touchdown of Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't like that too much. I like it. He's just too much of a rookie. Also, Aaron Rodgers doesn't really like idiot football players, and Chase Claypool's that sometimes. So hard to say. But no. I mean, fit-wise, he definitely fits that missing Randall Cobb role that you're talking about.
Listen, if the dude goes across town to, I'm not buying in on the Wan'Dale Robinson thing yet. Fine, they drafted him great. If he goes to the New York Giants, I mean, hell, Jones would hopefully find him the ball.
Daniel Jones can't hit the broadside of a barn.
I don't think you can count them.
Cleveland, they need a number two. They need a number 2 inside receiver. Amari Cooper is great. He plays outside, and you need him to play outside because that's where he does the best. We need someone inside. I would love to, if we could swap Elijah Moore for a second-round pick, I would absolutely do it. I don't even know if we have one, though, after the, Deshaun Watson trade.
I don't know. Have you seen our defense? It doesn't matter. We'll get to it. Don't worry.
All right. Let's go on. Calling our shots now. Games, picks of the week. Connor, you go first. Which game are you locking in? Or are you smashing, or whatever you say?
Your smash pick? Your smash pick, man, I'm telling you. I don't know why. I do not know why. Somehow, some way, we always end up. The Giants are still a 5-1 home or away. It doesn't matter. They're 5-1. They're getting 3 points against Jacksonville, who just got beat by the Colts. Why are we doing this? I get it. Daniel Jones is still the quarterback. But I'm pretty sure they've at least won or covered the last, every week. Every week. They're 5-1. Why are we still doing this? I think they've been the underdog every time, too. So, I'm shocked that they're still getting points. If anything, I figured they would be like a pick'em or something like that. But their defense is actually playing pretty well. Trevor Lawrence has regressed a little bit. I wouldn't say regressed to the mean. I think he's still got some crazy upside. But I think long term, I think the Jags are going to be better. But man, I'm having a tough time betting against Dable anymore. And I picked them 2 weeks ago, I think, or last week, and they covered. I just have a tough time believing that the Giants should not be underdogs anymore at 5-1. Craziest thing I've ever seen.
Ken, where are you going?
Favorite pick or
Yeah, favorite pick.
Smash pick.
I'm sorry, guys.
You could
Smash
call
pick.
your shot.
Well, for smashing, I'm picking the best running back to smash, and that's Derrick Henry. I'm going Tennessee Titans here. So, now, here's a fun stat for you, Phil. Vrabel, been with Tennessee 4 years. 4 games after his bye week against the spread, 4-0. That's math for you. Okay. But really, I like them coming off this bye. They started off 0-2. They're 3-0 since. Tannehill's kind of starting to at least play decent football, but the truth is it's all about Derrick Henry, and I do not think that Indianapolis is that good. Yeah, they played the Jags good last week, but besides that, I think that this Tennessee defense definitely slows them down. Jonathan Taylor coming back after 2 weeks, he's looked shaky. The question is, are you going to give someone who's coming off of injury 20, 25 touches, or are you going to trust Matt Ryan, who's played like one good half of football this past year? Just happens to be this, second half of last week. No, give me Tennessee by more than a field goal.
Yeah, Ken, for the record, Connor and I think last year were hyping up coaches off a bye that we thought were good. Andy Reid's, Bill Belichick's, Kyle Shanahan's. You give them an extra week to prepare. It's not fair. So don't come in here with those weak stats like I didn't already know them.
Oh, did you know that Vrabel's undefeated against the spread?
I didn't know that, but I know Vrabel's a good coach because we hyped him up all last year. So off a bye is a fantastic pick.
Smash pick.
Which we also said that they're but we also said they're the most overrated playoff number 1 seed in ever, and they went out first round. So
yep. we know what we're talking about. All right,
he called it.
I gotta get a
slow my smash pick.
I was gonna say yeah. So my smash pick, which I wrote an article on. So shut up, Ken. I got 2 picks here. Same game. Tampa Bay versus Carolina. I used to love betting against Carolina because Baker Mayfield's their quarterback. Well, when he gets hurt and the backup comes in, it's an even better pick. I am so excited for this game because it's terrible. The Panthers just traded Christian McCaffrey. When I was writing my article, I found these out. McCaffrey made up 158 of their 203 total yards last week. And PJ Walker had a completed air yards per attempt. That means when he threw the ball, his receivers were catching it 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. It's absolutely terrible. Tampa Bay has one of the best defenses. And even last week, the Rams, their offense has been in a funk all year. They couldn't get anything going. They had, I think, 5 drives out of 6 with 10 or less yards in the first half. But eventually, when your offense isn't moving, you give the other team the ball enough, they're going to figure out, they're going to put up points, they're going to have good drives. Rams put it together in the second half. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are better than the Rams this year on offense. Their line's better. Their receivers are better. They're going to have enough opportunities that Tom Brady's just going to have a couple broken plays where Mike Evans gets 50 yards and scores. Minus 13 is a lot of points, but I can see this game being like 30-3 and the Buccaneers winning handily and it not being even close, even if the Buccaneers can't move the ball in their first 3 possessions. So I got Tampa Bay minus 13. I'm also taking the under at 39.5. Honestly, my biggest fear with the under is that Tampa Bay's offense is so good that they end up scoring more than 40 points on their own. So there it is. Super excited for that pick. I don't pick the games I write on. It's not often that I get to write on one that I'm excited about. Man, and I love betting against Baker Mayfield, even if he's not playing. All right, let's go on. Connor, pick 2. What are you feeling?
All right, so I'm going to go with the game that I have both, and that's Atlanta versus Cincinnati. And I saw this crazy stat, another funny stat. So I think, bottom 5, might even be bottom 3. Atlanta is in, of neutral plays, they are in the bottom 3 for neutral playing situations to pass or run, which means they're running the ball. They have a crazy split right now. It's like 47% pass to 53% run. It's like they are so committed to the run that it is like insane. Neutral plays, they're running the ball. That's just how it goes. It's more than 50%. And I think in a game where on the other side you have just an overrated coach. I'll just say it. We have an overrated coach who really, really, really decides that he just wants to run the ball in a game that if it's relatively close for him, even if the stats don't back it up, I don't care. It feels like if it's a neutral game situation, they're up by a little bit, which I think that they will be, they're going to run the ball 20 times at 2.1 yards a pop. And I just think that this game is going to be incredibly slow because I think Cincinnati's going to go up early. They're going to say, Atlanta's going to say, hey, listen, we're not out of this yet. Let's just keep running the ball a whole lot. Like 3 out of 4 downs. And then at the end, we're going to lose by less than 7. Because I just don't think that Taylor's going to speed it up on his end either. So I'm taking under 47.5 is all Bengals here. I mean, it is all Bengals. And maybe defensive touchdowns. That's the only way that I can think that this game should be 47.5. The New Orleans Saints last week were banged up. So banged up on the defensive side. I think them scoring a whole bunch on the Saints, the Bengals scoring a whole bunch on the Saints was not like any ode to them being better because they were also down the whole game. So, I think this is going to be a crazy slow game, and I think that Atlanta covers at the end because it's not going to be, whoever has it last. It's going to be whoever has it last sort of just runs the clock out. I think that's how it's going to be.
What a game plan. Hey, we're down by 10. Just run it up the middle real quick. I think it's going to work.
We're close. That's all we need. We're close.
Atlanta's sitting there. Come on, just cover again. Let's keep I think they're 6-0 against the spread this year. So.
The craziest thing is this guy is running the triple option in the National Football League in 2022. He's running the triple option out of the pistol. And I am just they threw the ball 14 times last week. It is just mind-boggling to me.
All right, imagine.
Real quick, guys. Real quick.
Go, Ken.
Just talking about the Bengals here. Fantasy trade of the week. Tell me what you think. I traded away Rashad Bateman and CEH, and I got T. Higgins.
You win. You don't win the trade. You win your fantasy league. Yep. Game over.
I'm just saying.
I can't believe you somehow still sold CEH. He's not moving in any league ever.
Hey, the guy said, he goes, I really want Bateman. I was like, all right, idiot.
That's another thing. That's another thing where, like, Bateman, I was high on at the beginning of the year because he's a good wide receiver. But in that offense, you have such home run playability. Hollywood Brown. That dude can end up with like 4 targets for 4 yards, or he could end up with 4 targets for 150 and 2. It's the craziest thing. Bateman, if you look at his like earlier when he was healthy this year, dude ended up with like 2 70-yard touchdowns the first 2 weeks, and you're like, man, this guy's gonna crush it. Not very many targets, and even the ones that he did get were either completely downfield or screens. It's the craziest thing. It's crazy.
That's their whole offense. It's like Mark Andrews, you get 20 yards and in. Wide receivers, you got to be at least 20 yards for a target. It's the rules, all right?
Long story short, I'm kind of preying on a Bengals over based off of them scoring a lot more than the Falcons here.
By the way, Chase nicked up. T. Higgins fully healthy off the injury report this week.
It's good for my fantasy team, too. All right, Ken, pick your number 2 favorite game. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh, sorry. I'm still just really excited about this T. Higgins thing. I'm sorry. Okay. Man, so I will tell you, I definitely got in on this game when it was -7.5, but I'll still take it. That's Seattle plus 5.5 with the Chargers. there is nothing that anybody's seen that should make you feel confident in this Chargers defense. Geno Smith is still underrated. He's playing good football. J.C. Jackson is not playing good football. Welcome Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf. So the Seahawks play, the Chargers play more man coverage than they do zone. And DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett with Geno Smith have been killing man coverage. Also, DK Metcalf's a beast. So I think that this game's going to be a nice shootout. I would have taken the over if it wasn't really, really high. It's 50.5. And but I think that Geno Smith can keep it, within a score. The Chargers, they didn't beat the Browns by more than 3 points. I still think Seattle's really underrated. I think that they'll keep it close.
All right.
Go Ken Walker.
Huh? Go
Ken Walker.
Is that a fantasy thing for you too?
It is a fantasy thing. Shut up.
I wasn't judging. I was asking. Jerk.
Fantasy football.
Keenan Allen playing again?
He's questionable.
He could wait till week 8, is what the article I just found said. All right.
I highly doubt that they play him this week, and if they do, he's going to be on a pitch count.
All right, my next game. I know I hyped up San Fran as the number 2 team in the NFC now. The problem is the top 2 teams in the AFC are way better than any other teams at football. KC, you made me look stupid last week. You failed. You had the ball last.
Yeah.
Ken,
stop it right now. Stop it right now.
Connor,
stop it right now. Explain why you look stupid and why Ken and I look smart.
Ken and Connor. I think Connor's smash pick of the week last week was the Buffalo Bills. Ken piggybacked off his pick, and I was there adamant.
Oh yeah,
I believe in Patrick Mahomes. And I said on the show, it has nothing to do with anyone else on the football team. It's that I believe in Patrick Mahomes. And he failed twice. He had the ball with like 6 minutes left or something. Could have milked some clock, 3 and out. Had the ball last drive, minute and a half. He scored in 12 seconds a field goal. And this time, 2 plays, interception. But I forgive you. And you're going to beat the 49ers. I think the 49ers have a fantastic defense. As long as the Chiefs can play defense like they did last week, which is like, don't give up 30 points, don't give up huge plays. Like, they give a couple of huge plays, but don't give up huge plays to the 49ers. I don't think the 49ers have seen an offense like this, and I think it's just going to come back to bite them in the butt. I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be able to keep up, and if they had Christian McCaffrey up to speed, I think it would be a better look, but I am in on the Chiefs. Second best team in the NFL. It's -1.5, so the bet is nearly, bet on them to win the game. So, absolutely, give me the Chiefs. Yeah.
I see, I'm also picking this game. I think it's for a different reason. I haven't looked to see who 49ers have out. They got beat last week by Atlanta, and they shouldn't have, but they were missing, I think, their entire front 4 or 3 out of their first front 4. So whoever's coming back is needed. If they're not back, yeah, this is totally a smash play. Their strength is their front 7. Their linebackers are top rated. Their defensive lineman is top rated. Bosa's hurt, but if he was leading the league in defensive player of the year potentially. He had the most pressures and sacks through the first X amount of games. So if he's back, that can maybe change things, but McCaffrey's not in yet. He's not going to be integrated fully yet. I think this is a total get right game for Kansas City.
I think Kansas City's defense is much better than I thought they would be too. Chris Jones has been an absolute monster, Aaron Donald-esque levels up front, causing havoc for people. And I think the 49ers up front are beat up, so it works out well that he'll make problems for them. And also, like you said before, San Fran wants to run the ball 100 times a game. You can't do that against Kansas City because they're going to put up more points than that. Or if it's a one-score game, you're going to bet on Patrick Mahomes to beat Jimmy Garoppolo in the fourth quarter. It's just what's going to happen. It's what happened in the Super Bowl. So I'm here just saying you can't sit back and run. It's going to force San Fran to not play the way they want, and Kansas City wins that game.
I don't know. I feel like the trade for McCaffrey right now is actually like a little bit bad timing for the team. It definitely takes. They're like, oh yeah, we want to run the ball. We also don't trust these running backs. So, but I mean, just bad time takes a little bit of momentum away from the actual game. I feel. I would have jumped on this one too, but Phil would have accused me of piggybacking. So I'm not doing it.
All Ken does is piggyback. That's why he took my Tampa Bay pick too. Just saying. All right.
Oh, did I? Oh, really? Really?
I think I had it typed in first. Maybe.
I wrote Tampa Bay -20. Okay.
You believe in them just a bit more than me. All right. I think it's Ken's turn. Yeah, we did Atlanta, Kansas City. Ken, go up.
All right, guys. There might be a little bit of some people might not agree with me. I might, at this point, be anti-Homer. But the truth is, the Baltimore Ravens have been up 10 points. Or they have 3 losses this year where they've been up by 10 points in the second half. Or is it the second half or maybe like second quarter? I don't know. At some point, they were up 10. And the question is, do you think that the Browns can make that up? I don't. I'm sorry. I think that our defense right now, there's no way we are touching this Baltimore offense unless they decide to just try to run, force J.K. Dobbins to run more, and they try to just run us out because Kenyon Drake, he actually looked alive last week. But truth is, our defense can't stop anyone. We're definitely not stopping Lamar. So this -6.5, I think Baltimore's got us by more than a touchdown. If Clowney comes back and if Myles Garrett can get some pressure, it still won't matter because we can't cover anybody.
All right.
J.K. Dobbins had his knee scoped today.
Oh, did he?
He's done for the next 6 weeks.
Kenyon Drake looked good for like 2 carries last week, and he had like 2 carries that made up 70 of his 100 yards or something.
So swelling, meniscus, something.
Where's the Gus Bus? Come on.
I saw somebody say that they're worried about him being the next Todd Gurley, which scares me a little bit.
All right, so I have 2 picks. If Russell Wilson plays, I had 5 picks, and I like to have an odd number, so if Russell Wilson plays, I'm putting this on so I get to 7. I want the Browns.
He's playing. Just commit, Phil.
I'm committing to it, but I also have that wiggle room. But anyways, the question is, if you were the would you rather be the Ravens, who are always getting a lead and then blowing it, or would you rather be the Giants, who just win games? Now, most people would probably say I want to get the wins because my record is what it is. Like, my record's more important. Analytics folk would say, I want to be the team that's consistently getting the lead because that's sustainable going forward. And I'll tell you what, analytics people are wrong here because I don't know what it is. The Ravens are a team that are supposed to run the ball well because they have a dual threat on every play between Lamar Jackson and the running back. The one thing they can't do is run a clock out. They were up 20-10. I felt good about that pick last week, thinking, oh, you know what? The Giants can't score and keep up with the Ravens now. And for whatever reason, all they had to do was milk clock, and Lamar just loses it. He turnovers, misses throws, misses looks. The only thing, if he's using his legs, it's highly effective. I think 2 weeks against the Bengals, they needed a field goal to win the game, and he ran the ball on 6 of their 7 plays on that last drive. But for whatever reason, he loses it as a passer at the end of the games. And I know people are going to say, well, he just can't throw. Tell that to the first 3 quarters when he's nailing 50-yard bombs left and right. So I don't know what it is. I think the Ravens are full of choke artists. Now, the biggest choke artist in the league is Jacoby Brissett.
We're playing the Browns.
It's Jacoby Brissett. The good news is they're getting 6.5 points. So even if he chokes it, they just got to be within a touchdown minus an extra point. So I believe in the Browns to keep it close enough. All right. Connor, you're up.
Listen, the Lions are getting 6.5 points again. And I had my heart broken by them 2 weeks ago against Mac Jones, Bill Belichick. I picked them, and somehow they got blown out This is a very simple emotional play. That was a fluke. It will not happen again. I do believe that Detroit has a top 5 rated offensive line, and I don't believe that the Cowboys defense on the back end is as good as people say. Why? Because they're good because Micah Parsons, and I think now you have a good enough offensive line to slow him down. It exposes Trayvon Diggs. It exposes their back end to a little bit of, quite frankly, all the weapons that are on the Lions. We keep forgetting how, DeAndre Swift is questionable, leaning towards playing. Fine. If you don't play him, fine. But the reality is, you end up with Hawkinson, Sun God, Jamal Williams, surprisingly. I hate to say it, but even the outside guys until J-Mo is getting back, guys like DJ Chark, even though he's hurt, fine. Not DJ Chark, Josh Reynolds. They look serviceable here. I'm telling you, I just think that last New England game was a fluke. I'm not all in on the Cowboys yet. I think there's going to be a little bit of rustiness with Dak when he comes back too. So 6.5, I'll take it.
I am going to follow with you on that one. First of all, the Lions are playing and they're underdogs. You have to bet them. They're going to be down by 3 touchdowns and they're going to score and come back. But more importantly, their offense is the thing that's clicked. And we saw a Cooper Rush last week and everyone's like, he was one throw away from blah, 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 blah against the Eagles. I don't agree. I don't think that game was that close. I think Detroit also has a good defensive front and that could cause problems for the Cowboys. So I'm with you. I think Detroit.
Side note. Raise your hand if you said at the beginning of this year that CeeDee Lamb was not a wide receiver 1 in fantasy.
I'll
raise your hand if your name is Ken Call, who said that he was a wide receiver 1 in fantasy.
Did that happen?
That would be only one person in this world that's Ken Call.
In the whole world. He was drafted like a top 8 wide receiver.
I love the Cowboys. Man, sounds like I really want the Cowboys on here, man.
Actually, I think CeeDee Lamb might be producing as a number 1 fantasy receiver, even though he
borderline.
He is such a letdown. If you watch the games, there was that one that literally a 50-yard touchdown hit him in the chest and he dropped it. And the play that I talked about that everyone says was one throw away, he gave up on. He could have caused the defender to drop it or broken it up, but he just walked off the field pretty much. So I'm with you.
I gotta look right now because
he's wide receiver 15 according to Pro Football Reference.
So he's a 2, depending on your league. A wide receiver 1 means however many people in your league, he is the number 1. So if it's 10, it's top 10, top 12. He's out. There's nobody who has a 12-team league higher than the 12-team league.
You also have to remember that's total points. Points per game is much different. People like Mike Evans have had to sit out for a game for various reasons.
True. He hasn't missed a game.
Yep. All right. Let's go on. I think I'll do me and Ken's pick. Monday Night Football, baby. Bears versus the Patriots. I think
another great one.
First of all, these primetime games this week are a joke. I am glad the Cardinals versus Saints actually made a solid football game out of Andy Dalton throwing pick sixes left and right. But we have Pittsburgh versus Miami. And
technically, one was middle and right, but that's fine.
Anyways, Pittsburgh versus Miami Sunday Night Football. I don't want to watch that at all. That's an awful game. And then Chicago versus New England. Another game I'll probably have on because it's football. But anyways, New England minus 7.5. 1, I believe in Bailey Zappi. He is better than Mac Jones. It's not hard to be better than Mac Jones, though, because I think only Ken, again, was out here hyping him as a top 12-ish quarterback. But anyways, the Patriots absolutely manhandle teams that can only do one thing well. And I'll tell you what, Justin Fields can't throw the ball. They're going to sit back 3 deep, 1-on-1 on the outsides, and then a safety over top, and put 8 guys in the box and absolutely smother the Bears running game. Oh, and then they're going to play disciplined football instead of most teams, which, just try to get to the quarterback. They're going to stay in their lanes when they pass rush so that Justin Fields can't get out the pocket and then, make something happen like a huge run or a huge throw. So this is a huge bet, absolutely, against the Bears offense and Bill Belichick being smarter. And then also, like I said, Bailey Zappe's been good enough. He's making the offense look way better than Mac Jones did.
Mac Jones is starting. Sorry. He was a full participant Friday.
Ken, go ahead. I'm going to shut up. Anyways, the defense is good enough to cover the spread, and Mac Jones is going to get pulled. He better.
I'm curious if Damien Harris plays. He had 2 full participated practices this week. But man, Ramondre looks good. And you really don't need much if you have an average running game and Bill Belichick and you're playing the Bears. The Bears offense.
Ken, Mac Jones was limited on Friday. There is a chance he is questionable.
My
whole thing is,
I hope he walks into the stadium and pulls his hammy.
You can't switch it up, man. You can't go back and forth. Just stick with Bailey Zappe at least one more week. Because if Bailey Zappe's in, I mean, I don't care if Mac Jones is playing. They're going to cover. Like, you just got to not play too stupid. And by that, I mean, you remember that game where they won where he threw the ball 3 times? Do that against the Bears. That's fine. Does not matter because the Bears are scoring 3 points off of some lucky field goal. That's it.
I think coming into the year, I said the Bears over-under was highly, it was smash the under, one of my favorite bets, and it was at 6.5 wins. They started out 2-1, and I got a little bit worried, and then realized, they're the Bears. And I'm sorry, I loved Justin Fields. I think I hyped him a little in fantasy season as a good wild card guy to get. No, that offense is awful and a joke. They have nothing. The only thing that they do right is they don't even do it right because Khalil Herbert's their best running back, but they still play David Montgomery. And their best receiver, they don't get him the ball well. They just, the only time he makes a play is a 50-yard pass, and he has to make an awesome catch for it. So that's Darnell Mooney. Anyways.
Just a random thing on fantasy. I think that Justin Fields is a good fantasy pick because right away if he sucks. So, he's not even an issue do I keep him on my roster? He's been gone since week 2, so not a bad late round draft pick.
All right.
Sorry, Phil.
Don't apologize. You just made my pick sound better, so I appreciate it. Anyways, my last pick, again, if Russ plays, taking Denver. We talked about it a little bit at the beginning. I don't know if it was on the show or if it was pre-show. The Jets' offense isn't good. Breece Hall had made the offense last week, and Aaron Rodgers fumbling gave him the ball, with short fields, 30, 40 yards, that's it for a touchdown. And Breece Hall had to make it all happen. Zach Wilson had something like 120 yards passing, and Elijah Moore requested a trade because he said Zach Wilson stared at Garrett Wilson, and then threw him the ball every time. I know Russell Wilson is so bad right now. And I'm blaming that on Nathaniel Hackett. I don't think a quarterback who played at an elite level for years can be this bad without terrible, terrible coaching. You saw Melvin Gordon get benched for no reason, allegedly, and then have a good talk. It's just a mess.
The worst part about that offense is it's incredibly predictable. When you're supposed to run, you run. When you're supposed to pass, you pass. There is zero creativity. I mean, I'm even watching their route combinations, and they are so basic. So basic. I mean, we're talking simple floods. We're talking simple rub routes. We're not talking any, no creativity. It is the craziest thing I've ever seen. And I, again, talked about Silver Spoon last week. This dude does not deserve a job as a head coach, much less an offensive coordinator. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm 99% sure he was the Bills' offensive coordinator back when they wanted to start Nathan Peterman. I could be wrong on that, but I don't know why that clicks to me.
Well, because you've watched him coach, and you're what is the most ridiculous thing I've seen? Nathan Peterman starting and throwing 4 picks in the first half.
I
What's
wonder.
more impressive is you still have a brain space where Nathan Peterman's there.
He was the offensive coordinator in 2013 and 14. Like, his track record's terrible. He went offensive coordinator with the Bills to quarterbacks coach and offensive coordinator with the Jags. He had to know someone with the Packers to get that job for 3 years. And then Aaron Rodgers obviously was Aaron Rodgers. Like, it's
bad.
It's atrocious. And I'm really upset that they're my Super Bowl pick. But anyways.
Also, I love watching Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton. I think they're two good receivers, and I can't even watch them. You know what's worse than that is watching Latavius Murray run, man. I'm sorry. This whole thing's just tripped.
It's a train wreck. The whole thing is a train wreck. They hitched their wagon to him for $250 million for the next 5 years. I don't think it's Russ. It's definitely Hackett. I don't care. You got to get rid of him.
Anyways, back to my point.
Let their defensive coordinator, who has a top 10 defense, top 6 defense, I think, in the NFL, hire somebody else. Fire him and get like a quarterback's coach or something. Do what everybody else does. Have somebody else call plays. Anything.
Anyways, back to my point. They're a 1-point favorite right now at home. First of all, they can move the ball really well between the 20s. They get a lot of field goals. Ask anyone who has Brandon McManus. They absolutely love him in fantasy. The Jets had what?
Really well, Phil.
Huh?
Really well.
What's really well? I totally missed something.
You said they move the ball between the 20s really well?
Adequately well. I'm sorry. Actually, they did move the ball not bad. How about that? They can. The red zone is where their problems are. All right? Watch, and the stats say the red zone is really where their offense crumbles. Now, last week they had terrible. Like, I think Russ was 3 for 11 in the second half. It was atrocious. The main bet here is against Zach Wilson, though. Patrick Surtain has worked his way up into, like, I'd say top 2, top 3 cornerback territory. He's going to cover Garrett Wilson, take him out the game, but Zach Wilson isn't going to look anywhere else, so it's not going to matter. So, Broncos defense versus Jets defense, it can be close, but give me Denver and Russell Wilson to have one more drive or one more play that gives them the win. This is going to be an ugly game. The under's the lowest of the week at 38. Like, I can see the Broncos winning this game 12-7. It's going to be atrocious.
Again.
All right, guys. See ya.
See ya.
Again, I'll say this until he's done. You hired a consultant with clock management for your team. You're the head coach. That should be like the number one thing that you're good at. Clock management. That's a head coaching thing.
You can say that all you want, but now you're just yelling at Andy Reid.
Dude, I'm just telling you. Like, if you look at it, he was a great one-time offensive coordinator with Jacksonville with Leonard Fournette, fluky, one of the best seasons that Leonard Fournette had, his running back in 17 and 18, and they made the playoffs. And he went 3-8 to start the next season. Come on, this guy is not even an offensive coordinator. Worst. It's stupid.
I agree. Ken also has Houston +7 this week. I honestly would have loved... I should have probably asked him about that one sooner, because I would have loved to hear the take behind that. Is he that low on the Raiders or something?
I just think he probably thinks the points are pretty far. 7's a lot. You got to win by more than a touchdown. I don't think he trusts... I just don't think he trusts Las Vegas yet.
That's a real... The Vegas and... what's it called? The Vikings, right? Those are two teams. It's like, weird. Are they going to win by a touchdown? No. Are they going to win? Probably.
They're 5-1. The Vikings are 5-1. Another guy who is getting just blown up because he's 5-1. It is not because of him.
I think it's so funny because Brian Dable, I think, deserves all the credit in the world. I was going to say we should talk about this next week when we have more time. But, like, teams that are overachieving, underachieving, why or why not, blah, 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 blah. But, like, crazy. The Giants should have a terrible team. They haven't had receivers. All they have on offense is Saquon Barkley. Daniel Jones has been like Dable has just found ways to make him efficient or make plays. And then defensively, Wink Martindale is just out scheming teams in second halves and just knowing what they're going to do and putting them in bad positions.
There are 6 teams that have not had 220 yards passing this year. You can guess probably the top 3, but the other 3 you might have trouble with. 3 of them, by the way, were the Bears. Okay.
Yeah.
The Giants,
knew that one.
Surprisingly. And the Packers. It's crazy. It's insane.
You know what? It's so funny to me because it's like Nathaniel Hackett leaves the Packers. Their offense isn't any good. It's like, no. Don't do that. Devontae Adams is gone, man. Like, that's another thing I want to talk about. There's so many good things I want to talk about. Like, elite players are absolutely proving their worth. Like, Tyreek Hill, he's making his money, man, in Miami. He's turning that offense into a threat. A.J. Brown, he's showing that he's not just, A- receiver. He's an A+ dude. He opens everything up for everyone else. Who else? Khalil Mack. Like, last year everyone thought he was a joke on the Bears. Moves to the Chargers, whose defense hasn't been good. But he's made some huge plays for them here and there. And then, I can't even remember who else. But I'm excited. Well, I was saying now McCaffrey has his opportunity to show, I'm not.
But McCaffrey also is the number, 3 running back in fantasy football right now. I mean, he's healthy, produces, period. End of story. I think actually he has something like 16 straight games of over 100 scrimmage yards. Obviously, that's going to go away, with this next game. But 16 games when he's played the full game have been over 100 yards scrimmage. So, come on. That's why you got to bet on talent. It is what it is.
Well, he also has the usage for it, right? Like last week, he had like 25 touches, and he had 2 big plays. I think he had like a 49-yard catch and like a 39-yard run or something. So, yeah, he has the talent to make those plays. Is your point? I get. Anything else? I'm trying to think of big news. Got nothing.
Not really. I mean, we covered on everything. I am like deathly afraid of McCaffrey in San Francisco, but I'm so excited. It's like a weird thing. It's the weirdest thing ever.
I don't know if you're gonna get this, but in Armageddon, Owen Wilson sitting there before they fly up. He's like, I'm like 90% excited or like 10% scared, or it might be 10% scared and 90% excited.
I don't know. That's what's so cool.
Yep. Yeah. But by the way, last thing. Taylor Heineke's back. I'm so excited to get just like.
Dude, I forgot about that, dude. You know what? I'm sorry. The reality is your team sucks. You got to give Sam Howell a chance. I love Taylor Heineke, but you got to know what you have with him. You got to know if you got to go back and get a quarterback next year. It's just how it is. Sorry, buddy. You're an awesome story math teacher from Old Dominion to backup quarterback and winning playoff games. I get it. The reality is you drafted a guy who was 2 years ago a former first rounder, probably top 10 pick, and he didn't come out and lost his draft stock. You got to see if you can get that out of him.
So,
period. I
agree with you, but I'm waiting until weeks 15 to 17 or 15 to 18, I think, now to start him. I'm just going to hold out as long as I can, and it's to give him the best opportunity possible. It sounds kind of...
Matt Corral's the same way. Matt Corral's the same way in Carolina. Drafted him. See if he's got anything. Period. Now, that's a crappy situation. I mean, no talent. None. Commanders have some talent.
I was going to say, like, I agree with you. I think Desmond Ridder should get starting time, too, this year. It's Atlanta. It's not going to... First of all, Atlanta and... What was the other team? The Commanders. They both have good receiving cores. Like, Drake London is already proven he's a good receiver. Like, I think he's top 10 PFF grades. Kyle Pitts, even though they don't like throwing him the ball, he's like a top 20 wide receiver, let alone fantastic tight end. You got to find a quarterback. Give these guys opportunities to throw the ball to these good players instead of just Marcus Mariota, run the ball 12 times. Like, coaches and I feel like GMs just are not aligned on things. The GMs drafted these players, and now you're just watching them sit there.
Here's the reality. This is great to try and win a couple games, eke out a couple games, whatever. This is not a strategy that you will be able to sustain. We just talked about a guy who led the league in rushing in 2017 and 18 in Nathaniel Hackett. They got blasted in the playoffs and started 3-8. Look at the longevity and look at where the game is going. You cannot do this anymore. Just can't. I would be willing to bet that the top 10 between the tackles, rushers, and the last, offenses that are surrounded by the highest percentages of between the tackles, downhill running, were probably not in the playoffs and or winning the Super Bowl.
I was going to say Browns, Titans, and they're teams that you look and frown upon,
Can't do it.
I was going to say, now, again, against this, which is what we were just saying about Brian Dable, but it's like they know they don't have anything in the passing game, and he's making what he has work. Counter to this point, though, Jacksonville. I love what they're doing with Trevor Lawrence. They're like, hey, we're losing. Doug Peterson's our coach. Get Trevor Lawrence reps and get him confidence. Like, throw it, have him on fourth down going for it. I don't care if we lose games. We're not playing to win the Super Bowl this season. So get him in comfortable situations looking good. Get him in uncomfortable situations knowing how to handle it. Like, I am all for, that long-term view of...
You want to see good offensive line play. You want to see risk on, risk off with Trevor Lawrence, whether or not he's making the right risks at the right time. And you want to see defensive improvement. That's what you want to see. If you get all three of those, now you can put pieces around Trevor Lawrence. You don't have to spend a ton of money on the offensive line. Got probably a good pass rush. That would be number 2, which they
should. They have 2 top 10 picks.
Josh Allen, and they picked the guy that everyone said shouldn't have gone. Trayvon Walker, something. He's, I think, done pretty well this year. You situate those things, now you can do things to build around Trevor Lawrence, a.k.a. go get him one of the best wide receivers next year, and then you put a 2, who's acting as your 1, Christian Kirk, into the slot. Now you have options. You've obviously got the next 2 guys, James Robinson and Travis Etienne. You're dangerous. Be dangerous this year. That's all you want.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's a brand of exciting football because it's not win football. It sounds weird, but it's not like winning football. Like, winning football is what the Giants are doing. Make it low scoring, make it a tough, gritty game. It's what Dallas did with Cooper Rush. What they're doing.
Coach teams. Out-coach teams.
Yeah.
That's what Dable is doing. Fine. Now you've got the coach right. Now you got lots and lots of room to work.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, Giants are in salary cap hell as well until they get rid of Kenny Golladay. So,
which is why I'm happy that Brian Dable's doing what he's doing. Because 1, I thought he would be a good NFL coach, and I did not want him to get fired after a year or 2. And 2, it's just gonna build confidence in him, even if he has a bad year next year when they have to hit the reset button 2 or 3 times before they get this thing right or a roster around him. All right, I think I'm good. I got nothing else. No more stories to tell.
Tell everyone to skip to the end. Forget whatever Ken said. We had good conversation there. Open with that. Skip to the end. Got it.
All right. Deuces. Have a good weekend, Connor.